right, let's check in with our friend at Richard Southern. No, your name is Richard Southern. You are at 680 News. It is still Monday morning, and it's still very dark outside.
Yes, it's dark and early, Mel. And
yeah.
I should mention as well, you're just talking about the U.S. midterm elections there, that U.S. stock futures this morning, they're lower with investors maybe pricing in that possibility that the Democrats take back the House of Representatives. So we'll follow that story, of course, as we move ahead to the U.S. elections tomorrow. Another big story we're watching, and this is really interesting, a new study by Edward Jones asked Canadians how much money, and think about this for yourself, how much money do you need to make every year? Not to be rich, but just to be financially comfortable. Turns out it's a fair bit. $250,000 is what Canadians said they need to pull in every year to feel financially comfortable. That's actually 5 times the average after-tax income in Canada, which is currently $56,000. Study also found that people always felt they earned less than they desired, regardless of what income bracket they were in. That backs up previous studies that found the more people earn, the more they believe they need to make. Right, another big story on the go is one that's not such a good news story, I'm afraid, when it comes to Toronto. Amazon is said to be in advanced talks to open its second headquarters in the Washington, D.C. area. The Washington Post reporting this yesterday. Amazon, according to the paper, said to be in talks to open up its headquarters in a residential and office complex in Arlington, Virginia. Toronto had been the only Canadian city to make the shortlist for this headquarters, which is expected to bring in 50,000 jobs. Post Media, the publishers of the National Post and the Toronto Sun, will no longer deliver those papers to high schools or elementary schools here in the Toronto area. And the reason, cannabis advertisements. They're in those papers now. And the new cannabis law states that young people can't be subjected to cannabis advertising, and therefore no more papers being delivered to schools. Lastly, big new study out on the changing eating habits of Canadians. This is actually really big. A Dalhousie University study found that 50%, half of Canadians say they plan to reduce their meat consumption. Of course, we've seen a trend now towards people eating less meat, and the industry very much responding to this. We've seen a flood of new vegan and vegetarian restaurants open in Toronto and across Canada, and even established meat purveyors are getting into the meat alternative business. A&W had a big hit on its hands with its meatless burger. Even McDonald's reportedly testing out a vegan hamburger. Roger Peterson, how are you this morning, my friend?
Good to see you back, sir. How are things going at Queen's Park? Not much happening.
Never a dull moment at Queen's Park, even on what was supposed to be a week off for Queen's Park. It's constituency week today, and we had this big story breaking about a cabinet shuffle.
Yep.
So never a dull moment down there, Roger.
So I know what you're going to do. Once you're done here, you're going to run back down there, aren't you?
I can't get away from it. I like it. I love it too much. Interesting building to work in, Roger. 130-year-old building. Everything creaks. Everything smells old. It's quite the building to work in, let me tell you.
I love it. I love the history of it. Richard, thank you very much, sir. Have a great day.
Thanks, Roger.